Engineer Ned Weed suffered a stroke, which severely hampered his mobility. Suzanne places biofeedback electrodes on Ned's calf muscle. She teaches him to relax his muscle when his heel touches the ground and to tense it when he pushes off.
Okay, stop for a minute, Ned. Stop. What I would like to hear is an on and an off.
All right, I'll try and do it. I know how I get it.
The way you get it is to put your weight through it
know.
as you step on it. That brings the off.
Yeah, I know.
Then you get the on
Right.
as you lift your leg and swing
I
it
know.
forward.
I know exactly how it works.
Let's try it again. Good.
Biofeedback therapy has tremendously relieved me of the frustrations that I was confronted with all the time. I'm now able to get around quite ably. The muscles in my left leg have returned considerably, and I'm even beginning to use my left hand, and that is my next hope, is that I can recover more and more of the use of that left hand. And when I've done that, I will consider myself almost totally recovered.
Nearly 2% of the population suffers from epilepsy, a mysterious disease in which uncontrolled nerve firings deep within the brain cause crippling seizures. In Santa Rosa, California, researcher Donna Andrews works with Debbie, who's had seizures since she was 6 years old.
I become apart from everything around me, and it's like a tunnel that I'm in, and I'm just seeing straight ahead and nothing around me, and I pass out. So last year, in the beginning of the year, I was getting seizures much more often. It was like one every other week. I was under a lot of stress. A lot of things were happening in my life at that time.
Okay, Debbie, I'd like you to take a couple of deep breaths, hold them, and let them go very slowly.
Debbie tries to reach a state of deep relaxation. She listens to tones derived from her brainwaves and tries to keep them on continuously.
People with epilepsy seem to be prisoners of a certain type of brainwave functioning. My goal is to give them a state that they can go to and gather their thoughts.
I've been on medication ever since I've been 6 years old, and I take these pills, which are downers. If I am supposedly down now, and I feel good, I wonder how it must feel if I don't take them. Well, I've worked with a machine, and I've learned to control my brain waves, and ever since I've done that, I have no seizures.
Epileptics who use biofeedback may eventually be able to control their seizures and reduce their medication. At the Langley Porter Institute of the University of California, San Francisco, scientists conduct research with brainwave biofeedback that goes far beyond its current clinical uses. They monitor multiple channels of brainwaves from various parts of the scalp to discover connections between brainwaves and the inner workings of the human mind. Dr. James Hart is assistant professor of medical psychology.
My assistant is in the chamber doing alpha brainwave biofeedback. We have coming out on the polygraph 8 channels of brainwaves. We have 1 channel of muscle tension from the forehead, the EKG or heart function, and we have 2 channels of respiration. When he produces alpha activity, large bursts are seen on the polygraph, these large dark patches of ink, and in addition, the tones become louder, so that he knows when he's making alpha.
The experimental subject sits in almost total darkness in an acoustically isolated chamber. He tries to stay in a state of deep relaxation, maximizing the energy his brain puts out as waves of the type called alpha. The computer keeps a record of his alpha wave energy and turns off the tones every 2 minutes so he can see his scores.
People who substantially increase their alpha brainwaves have experienced reduction in things like schizophrenia, paranoia, and anxiety. There are also physical health benefits, such as reduction of high blood pressure, which follow alpha feedback training. We would hope that people would be able, through the use of biofeedback, to attain some of the most profound states, like samadhi, as the yogis call it, or satori, as it's referred to in Zen, which is a state of enlightenment, out of which the greatest forms of creativity could emerge. Alpha feedback has been characterized as involving feelings of flying, floating, lightness, and space. And in profound enhancement of alpha, you actually feel that you lift out of the chair.
Dr. Hart also experiments with shared feedback, in which he tries to synchronize his brain waves with those of another experimental subject.
Sharing feedback, sitting in the same chamber with someone else, hearing their tones and your tones blending, seeing their scores working together, attaining the same brainwave state brings about a profound enhancement of interpersonal rapport. In the future, there will be implantable computer systems so that you could have sensory experiences about things going on in your brain and body which now you have no sensory apparatus for. When people can adopt the state of consciousness that they wish, at the moment they wish it, we will have an entirely new culture.
Biofeedback is only beginning to be widely practiced. Ultimately, it could usher in a new era of human health care.
The most exciting thing to me personally is that biofeedback will become the major aspect of the medicine of the future, a behavioral medicine in which people learn to become an active participant rather than a passive recipient of drugs and surgery.
Lost civilizations, extraterrestrials, myths and monsters, missing persons, magic and witchcraft, unexplained phenomena. In search of cameras are traveling the world, seeking out these great mysteries. This program was the result of the work of scientists, researchers, and a group of highly skilled technicians.